This time last year, I made a relatively short video about this guy, the Matchbox Moving Parts 1969 Triumph Spitfire. This was new for 2024. It was released in the fall of 2024. And when the release of this toy was announced, there was some initial concern in the Triumph community based on the illustrations. So first of all, this is supposed to be a 1969 Triumph Spitfire, which would be a Mark III. We can see this illustration here that the bonnet is hinged in a way similar to the Mark IV 1500. It's hinged and tilted up above the bumper, whereas an actual 1969 Spitfire Mark III, the entire bonnet would hinge up at the valance, and so the bonnet and bumper and all would be tilting up. So that was a red flag for some people. And then beyond that, there were a lot of people who felt like this shape was much closer to that of a Mark IV or 1500 instead of a Mark III. And I do kind of understand that based on appearance there. However, the actual toy turned out to be a little bit different from the illustration, especially with the way that the bonnet opens. So when I did my original video, I managed to get this bonnet up about this far or so, and at which point it started to put up a lot of resistance, and when I pulled on it, it felt like it was going to break. But someone online pointed out to me that it does come up further, so I got more aggressive with it, and voila, it does pop all the way up. So the toy actually does approximate the way that an actual Spitfire Mark III bonnet opens, so you can see the bumper and everything tilts up. It's not exactly like the real car, but it approximates it fairly. So that was not much of an issue. The details in the car are a little bit blobby. Just a quick aside, I had very low expectations for the details of a toy like this, so I really didn't pay a lot of attention to the engine area until I started producing this video, and I just wanted to point out a few things really quickly. First of all, you can see an attempt to represent the radiator at the front, including a radiator cap there at the top. You can also see the attempt to represent the generator, I'm pretty sure, for this car. Triumph generally adopted alternators at some point in 68 or 69. I'm not quite sure when they were added to the Spitfire line exactly, but I think that looks like a generator at least on there. We have the rocker cover, complete with oil cap represented. And then we also have the intake manifold, rather crude attempt to represent intake manifold and air cleaner. Where things get a little odd is in the area marked here, where it looks like at first blush that the carb dash pots are on the wrong side of the engine. Obviously, they would be between the intake manifold and the air cleaner on the actual car. However, a more generous reading of this is that the item on the left is a crude representation of the distributor, and the item on the right would be an oddly placed fuel pump. Blobby engine compartment here. There's some effort to approximate an actual Spitfire interior, though it's a little blobby, but there are some nice details. The badging on the front of the car, as well as on the rear of the car. So there are some nice details in there. pretty nice overall for a toy that's going to cost $2 to $3 at your local discount store. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because for 2025, Matchbox has released a new version of this car. And this is a green version. And one thing you will notice right away is that they have changed the illustration. So they did not simply recycle this old illustration and provide it in green, but they actually corrected the illustration so that the bonnet here tilts up the way it actually does on the real car and the way it actually does on the toy. Everything else about the packaging is basically the same. So here's the new version. The green version here, you can see it is a metallic green. There has been no effort to approximate an actual Triumph color, which for '69 probably would have been conifer green, possibly laurel green. But this is not anything like a Triumph color, but we wouldn't expect Matchbox to go to great lengths to approximate a Triumph color. The choice that's a little bit odd to me is the decision to go with a red interior. I personally am not a huge fan of red interiors in green cars. In fact, I remember an episode of the television show Wheeler Dealers. I think this was back around 2017. This is when Mike Brewer and Ant Instead were together working in California, and they restored a really nice Austin Healy 3000. And the car originally was green with a black interior. And in the process of restoring the car and preparing it for auction, they changed the black interior out for red. And I remember thinking at the time, why on earth would you do that? Again, just not a combination that I love. The car ended up selling for good money. Not sure how much TV magic was involved in that, but the car ended up selling for good money. I know people put red interiors in green cars, and some people like that. And if so, that's great. To each his or her own. But I do know that this combination is a little bit controversial based on comments that I've seen with some frequency online. But the real problem with this choice when it comes to this toy, because of the way that this plastic piece is molded, you actually end up with a red bulkhead and red in between what would be the splash guards and the engine. And that looks really odd to me. So that's something I don't like about this new version of the Spitfire. Other than that, it's almost identical. You can actually see here that some of the lettering is missing on the front, so they're not perfect with it. But still looks nice. This is identical to the blue one, other than the missing letters. Looks like I and U are missing on there, which is interesting. But other than that, these two are identical other than the color differences. And just another option in the world of toys.